MadAccessDVD exclusive. Santino White, born in Chicago, Illinois, raised in a family of 7 children, son of Artie Blues Boy White, mother Miss Betty Peyton White. Santino White grew up fast in the streets of Chicago.
From center to winner.
I didn't know if you wanted to.
The whole transition of the trouble, man.
Thank you.
My man.
No, see, the thing is.
No, I know you're young. I know how to
I've been with them ever since I was a kid.
Okay.
Scalini was the first person that ever robbed me.
But you kept good company.
Laugh it out myself.
You walk off the and have your name, like your title, who you are, you know, your description of who you are. Like it might be like, say if I was on there, you might say Doja favorite rapper for me. You know what I'm saying? Me favorite rapper.
Okay,
So
should
what
I
do you
say
want to pop
about,
up?
like, you know, after I give my birth name?
Like when you first pop on, a little tag gonna pop up your name, who you are, and what you do. So what name, what all you want me to put on there?
Okay, first of all, I'm going to use my birth name.
Yeah.
You can put in parentheses or AKA Cowboy, AKA Johnny Dollar. Not Dollar, but D-O-L-L-A-I-R-E.
Okay.
You follow me?
Gotcha.
Dollar. I say it's French.
Right. You want me to put retired pimp?
No, I ain't never been no pimp.
Oh, okay.
No, I ain't never been I ain't never been a pimp.
What you?
But my illusion, I thought I was a player. I didn't know what I was really.
Boss
A
player.
gangster, a
Retired
player, a hustler. I'm just saying. I'm talking about, I don't know what the hell I was.
Yeah.
His date is what, July 28, 2018. My name is John Neely. That's my birth name. And I'm always, let me see, I'm known as Cowboy, which is an illusion. Johnny Dollar as a player, which was an illusion also. But however, I'm here today to represent Santino White in support of him. I've been knowing him ever since he was a young guy. I knew him before he really knew me, you know, because he was a young guy. I say when was he? About 12, 13, maybe 14 years old. And I was impressed by him then. And by me being perceptive, I seen his potential, but I don't think he seen it at that time. So when I really got a real picture of the insight that Mr. White had, I was very impressed. There wasn't too many people I was impressed by. And one reason I was impressed, I'm from the old school. To me, he's from the new school. But I can tell by the broad understanding he had about life in general at a young age. That's what impressed me about him. I really was impressed. We was at the car wash on 77 Vincent. And me and Santino engaged in a conversation. And he got to talking about the Bible. I can't help but laugh. But that part surprised me. My perception of this character, he didn't know nothing about scriptures, but he could recite them. He didn't, what I'm saying, he could quote scripture by scripture, verbatim. I said, damn, this boy is spiritually in tune. And, you know, my perception of him was based on my past experience, you know, what I used to call, what I call ghetto way of thinking. Because my era, I'm part of the baby boomer era. And I feel the baby boomer era, not in a direct way, but in an indirect way, we are responsible for what's occurring today. And I'm quite sure everyone knows what I'm speaking of, all this killing, et cetera. And the reason I said we're responsible in an indirect way, that's when the family structure started diminishing in the baby boomer era.
What kind of guy was Santino coming up?
Excuse me.
What kind of guy was Santino coming up?
From my perception at that time, want to be slick, you know, in the game. You know, most people of color, especially young black men, identify with stuff like that due to racism. So they done told us in so many words, you can't see this side of the street, you have to stay on your side. And the people that we was impressed by was people that was shining, looking like stars, At the time, we don't know they was falling stars, but it was very influential, the things we did and what we identified with. And I'm quite sure if I did it, it was done in his era also. So that's why I said, you know, the baby boom, high society, well, I ain't gonna get into that piece, but like somebody asked me a question right before this started, I said basically, I think it was, but anyway, I was saying, Santino just, to me, this just the way I feel. Santino, it was in Santino all the time to do what he's doing presently. You know, reaching his full and maximizing his potential. But by identifying with what seemed appears to him at that time was shining, and he gave his all in that. And the way I see it now, when I reflect back, I didn't know no better, and at the time I don't think, but a purpose for everything in life. It's a strong possibility if he wouldn't experience the things that he did, coming through what we consider the game, etc., gangster, and that type of stuff there, he wouldn't have the type of mind he has now. And I'm here to say, I'm not impressed by too many people, but I was impressed by him being the age he is, because he's definitely not from the old school. See, I'm from the old school, like I said earlier. He was what you call, what we used to use back then, he's a thoroughbred. He's a thoroughbred in the game, and he's a thoroughbred in being a professional person now, and an spiritual person. And it takes a lot for people to change, and I admire him again for changing, because I'm talking about people are resistant to change. It's normal to be resistant, but you got to realize you must change, because the world will continue to change around you.
What it is about younger men, even myself as a young man, I experienced it too. I read the book Iceberg Slim, Pimp, and Horse and Jones and stuff like that. As a young man, what it is about most young men that makes them want a pimp, that attracts them to the life, in opposed to getting a job? Why can't you just get a 9 to 5, or why don't you go to school? But most younger men, even myself, coming up, I felt that was something strong that would identify me as being a man. I don't know what it was, but what's your take on that?
Okay, my take on that, like I said earlier, the main factor is a lot of variables that come into play, but the main factor, I believe, is racism. See, first of all, the media is very powerful. Conditioning is very powerful. It influences how one thinks. How one thinks will determine how they feel, and how they feel they will demonstrate in their behavior. Meaning that here, the pictures that you see during this period, we was made to feel inferior. So I didn't think nothing about no mainstream. I was just talking earlier about, I never thought I would work. I didn't care nothing about no mainstream. The only thing I was interested in that lower world that I identified with. Pimp, player, gangsters, and hustlers. That was our world. For example, I probably had the potential to be famous. You know what my goal was? To be acknowledged in my little world, to be infamous opposed to being famous. Knowing in this little world that I'm the only one that see it. My point is, that's why young black men and the men, the young guys today, they feel the opportunity don't present itself. They can't aspire to try to strive and reach their full potential. I hope that answers your question.
My question is, you said when you were growing up, right, he had a high maturity level, right?
Yes.
So with that being said, he obviously had an aura that was sporadic. So with that being said, I want to know how the females and younger people gravitate towards his aura.
One thing I know from him and myself, it can be a stranger. Whatever you do, if you got some realness about you, it can be a stranger that don't know nothing about you, but something will allow them to gravitate. And I feel that's based on, see, for one to have some character, you got to have some substance. And when I say you have to have some substance, you have to be someone in tune with your spirituality, regardless of the behavior that you demonstrate. Like I say, I wanted to be a player, a hustler, a gangster. As a matter of fact, I lost contact with myself. And I believe all of us that identify with that little world that we identify with at that particular time, it influenced how we thought.
All right, baby.
Not everybody ain't like but don't meet me hanging.
The man, you gonna have to kick it. I'm just in the. Okay. You know I had to come through though.
You can tell it's my two guys there.
That money green you got on now? Something else. I tried to get that nigga Hogan out. He laughed me out the door. He said, that nigga.
When he stays, my lunch, thanks for sure. You might well keep it, G.
Hold that book up, bro. Let me see that book. Hold
You
that
gonna
book
need it. From center to winner.
I didn't know if you wanted to.
The whole transition of the trouble, man.
up. Thank you. MadAccessDVD exclusive.
So how was you kind of familiar with the gun?
Well, I've been around the game all my life from where I grew up on 75th Street. But I actually started playing the game at the age of 14. You know, I started gambling, selling reefer, stuff like that. You know, I tried to learn everything I could at an early age about the game because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play the game.
So how was you not your first over?
I was about 16 years old when I first got my first prostitute. I was younger, and there was a friend of mine named Randy Mack. They hustled as well. And what I did was I was out selling weed late at night, and a murder took place. And I was really the only one out there. And the guys that was involved with the murder, the next day I was on my way home from school. I knew him to be a dope dealer. You know, I used to watch him. And he pulled over to the side of me and basically asked me what did I see took place that night. I told him I didn't see nothing, you know. And he knew that I knew what actually went down. But my thing was, you know, where I came from, you know, you learn how to keep your mouth closed, you know, at an early age. And the guy kind of took a liking to me. You know, like I say, he sold things like teas and blues, cocaine, heroin, and me, I was a young reefer peddler. And also with his game, you know, he had some pimping. And I was already impressed by the pimping from this pimp Jerry. And I come up watching. And I rode with this guy Randy, man, for a long time, you know. I learned a lot from him, you know. I learned a lot of things to do and a lot of things you're not supposed to do. By me being exposed to a lot of different hustles and players, I took a bit from everybody. You know, I learned something from everybody that I could use, I used, that I didn't, I just put it in the back of my head. My first hole, like I say, I was 16 years old that I knocked my first hole. But Randy ended up doing some time. And in the process of him doing some time, Randy left me 7 chicks, you know what I mean? And at the time I was 16 years old, you know, I had the 7 he had, the one I originally had, you know what I mean? And all of the chicks basically was older than me. I was 16, they had to be about 22, 23 years old.
So how long did it take you to come up with them 7 digits?
Well, the 7 I didn't knock off. What it was, Randy and I, we were so close, you know what I mean? Actually, like I say, he gave me a whole lot, you know what I mean? When he got knocked off and went to jail, he actually left those 7 bras behind with me. You know? And I had to pimp from the curve from there, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Was it easy?
Well, you know, I don't want to sound arrogant and say yeah, but it was just trial and error, you know what I mean? You know, like I said, I took a lot from him. And I saw him do a lot of things that in my mind I knew wasn't cool to do. So that I got from him, I used, and I added my own mix. It was actually, it was natural, you know what I mean? It was natural, you know. I had a love for it, it was natural, you know.
Yeah. So, everybody I was talking about the wins, I want to know about the loss too. So what was the biggest loss that you took?
Wow, you know, the biggest loss I took, man, is, you know, when I hit rock bottom. What I mean by that, you know what I mean? You know, you blow the chicks, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest with you, that came later on down the years, you know what I mean? When I got into using drugs, you know, that came into play, you know. But from 16 on down, 16 to like 20, 23, 24, man, the game is good. You know, it's later on when I just got strictly into selling the narcotics, you know, and then I started using the narcotics, you know, as time went on, it took a toll on me. And between the narcotics and penitentiary, it caused me to lose everything. You know, with the game, you have this love-hate relationship. You love it when it's good to you, but you hate it when you have them setbacks, you know what I mean? Because in your mind, you said that, you know, you could have done all kind of things while you was up, you know what I mean? So the game is always, even with the pimping, it's this love-hate relationship, you know?
You have to reach a certain stature before you can even consider yourself screaming Pete. So what part in your life, like what did you accomplish to make yourself say, okay, I'm 10 toes down, I'm screaming Pete. It's Pete. You know what I'm saying? It's respect.
You know, it wasn't about me shouting pimping. When the people started saying, oh, man, that's Santino, he pimping. Yeah. You know, see, a lot of niggas can make their mouth speak Chinese, don't mean that Chinese, there's no language. Everybody shouting pimping and pimping. You know, when the street and the game starts saying, oh, he pimping, then you know you pimping. You know, you reach where you're supposed to be. Because a lot of cats, man, they shout their own pimping, man, and pat their own self on the back. I don't do no good. You know, when the people say, oh, you pimping, you know, hey, man, I reached down here, I'm pimping. You know what I mean? Yeah, because the game said pimping. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You gotta say it speak for itself.
It speak for itself. You know, people like, what he do for a living? Oh, he a pimp. You know what I mean? Because he shout. Oh, he a pimp. That's what he do. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So this is what I want to know too. If you transition like far as manhood and life and studying life, what interaction did you have with God that you knew he sent you a direct message? Like nobody sent you for God. Like, what did you go through?
Well, by the grace of God, honestly, I've been acquitted for 5 murders. And the first couple of times, just like anything else, man, you tell yourself that you were slick or you was lucky, you know what I mean? And you figured you don't put God into play because you figured that was something that your lawyer did or something that you did. It wasn't until I got to my 5th murder and I'm laid in Division 11, you know, fighting that murder for about 3 years. And that's where I really got to know God personally for myself. You know, you always know about God from your parents and your grandparents, but that's where I picked up my personal relationship with God. I was fighting a murder. They had offered me 60 years. The cop out was 60 years, and they said if I take it to trial, I'll get life. You know, as I got to reading the Bible and different things of that nature, you know, and my faith just increased. So I went to trial, and by the grace of God, I got acquitted. They found me not guilty. Yeah, man. Yeah.
My book is a non-fiction book. My book basically tells about my life story and the things that I went through in the transition of my life. It tells about when the world give up on you, God won't. You may choose a path for your life, but God might have something else. So basically my book tells about a lot of things that I went through in my life and what God brought me through to this day.
So, what can people take with them from the book? Like, what type of lessons is in the book?
Well, this book right here is basically got a lot of my life experience in there. You know, what they can take away from the book is the fact that when the world, your friends, and everybody else give up on you, God ain't gonna give up on you. You know what I mean? So with that, you just can't give up on yourself. You got to keep the faith. You know, keep up. My belief in God was strong. I had it in me all the time and didn't really realize it. You know what I mean? So, my subliminal message, you know, in my book to people is just that. At the risk of sounding repetition, is that when the world give up on you and everybody else, God ain't gonna give up on you. Just keep your faith and keep pushing.
So where can we find your book at?
Go to Amazon.com, Trouble Man by Santino White. The book costs $25. The name of it's the untold story of a Chicago gangster.
Different non-fiction.
It's definitely non-fiction. You know, you got people out here with these oxymorons saying, oh, it's a non-fiction and a fiction. That's an oxymoron. There's no such thing. There cannot be fiction and non-fiction at the same time. My book is strictly non-fiction. Even as you go through my book, I took the liberty of putting real transcripts in my books to let a person know that I'm in the system. If you know, don't believe what I say, don't believe what the book say. Google me, look me up, I'm in the system. You know, yeah, all of that facts.
Yeah, based on true story.
Yes, sir. Life for me after the game, man, is beautiful. Because God allowed me to live my full potential. You know, everything that I was trying to get in the game, that the game gave me and took it back. God gave me that and much more. He gave me a successful business. I got a transportation company, the buildings, everything that I wanted, that the game gave me and took back. God gave me, and everything that God give you, man, you meant to keep, you know. Everything that I hustled for in the game, the jewelry, the cars and everything, you know, I got that and more by the grace of God. And that was life at the game. People often ask me, do I miss the game? Not at all.